So, Other Side of the Game is a play that explores the narratives of two black women, two of them from two different time periods, one from the 70s, the other one from the 90s. And these two women live by something that's called the ride or die philosophy, whether they call it that or not. Um, the first woman from the 1970s, she's an activist, she's radical, she's representing Nova Scotia, and her philosophy is putting the movement before herself, the black activism movement, putting her community before herself. And the second character from the 90s, she's, like she grew up like us, 80s baby, and she, or even before that, but she once again, also puts her community before herself, puts her partner before herself. So when Amanda and I came together, the idea behind it was I had this crazy dream one night where I dreamt that we were on stage and it was a play based on the four women, or the four most visible women in the Black Panther Party. And just looking at their relationship and how their relationships between each other, because all of the stories that I heard of these women, it referred back to just their individual stories or how they related back to the movement, but I didn't know quite, like how did Asada and Angela, like what was their personal relationship? What was Elaine's personal relationship with Kathleen, So I was very interested in that. And also traveling to Cuba last year and learning more about my own family history and realizing there were women in my family who had been a part of the Cuban Revolution. So just very drawn to the radicalism of women, particularly black women, in activism spaces. And Amanda, she had the experience of visiting a friend of hers who was in prison, and she looked around the room and she realized it was all women who were going to visit men who were incarcerated. And she just thought to herself, like, what kind of experience is this to be in isolation? What are these women currently going through? And also how those women support themselves and what their ideas of justice are now that they have been exposed to this. So we are currently still in the research and writing development. We've been researching since, I would say, April or May of 2013. We're doing a lot of literary research. We've done a lot of art research. We've done a lot of interviews with people who were both in the activism spaces of the 70s here in Canada, as well as young women who may identify with this ride or die philosophy. So the response that we've received so far is actually like excitement. I know that even with the people that I've researched personally from the activism space, I've had so many people say, I'm so glad that young people are now doing this. Like, we need you guys to carry this on. We need this to be documented. Unfortunately, so many of our elders are passing on to the ancestor realm, and their stories are going with them. Thinking about Rocky Jones, who just passed away in Nova Scotia, Dudley Laws, Charles Roach, like so many people are passing. And for this to be documented and then turned into an artistic medium, we've been getting a really good response. And similarly from the younger generation or the contemporary generation of the ride or die, again, that their narratives, especially those of us who have also are coming from an aspect of experiencing the prison industrial complex or know people who've been incarcerated. The fact that these stories are being told too, because I don't know of anything personally where it documents women especially, because the narrative is usually men when we're talking about incarceration and black men, and not looking at how it affects us as women, whether we've been incarcerated, whether we know people who've been incarcerated. And also from a Canadian perspective, a lot of even in our research, a lot of the articles that we've come across are all from an American perspective. So I think it's, I hope that they'll be satisfied with what we do. We're going to work with it with the utmost integrity. So that's our main focus.
So Cash Money or Murder Inc.?
I'm not supposed to think about it, am I?
Go ahead, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cash Money.
Okay. Cash Money or Rough Riders?
Rough Riders.
That's the same thing Amanda said. Kim or Foxy Brown?
Oh, come on. That's not fair.
I know.
Foxy.
Again, weird. You guys should be like on the Newlyweds couple. Show. Favorite documentary?
No, this is not fair at all. I'm on Hurricane Katrina. I can't remember the name. By Spike
The
Lee.
Spike Lee?
Yeah,
Okay.
like four acts. What's
Yeah.
it called?
I don't remember, but I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Cool.
Yeah.